the reform that happened before Christmas. This is to look specifically at the digital sector reform. And before we go any further, I must say that this relates to post-16 only, and this relates to the digital sector. The announcements that were made before Christmas regarding any reform, any extensions, were very sector-based. So anything that I talk to today about the digital sector for the IT and computing qualifications is relevant to IT and computing, and only IT and computing. Other sectors have slightly different things going on. So if you're going to update colleagues based upon this, you need to make sure that you're clear that this is IT only. And I'm sorry that I'm saying that many, many times, but everything was very sector-based before Christmas, and each sector has very different changes given the announcement that happened. And we still have people joining, so just bear with us. Right, so with that being said, and just for those that are joining late, with that being said, this is for reform, this is post-16, this is England only, and this is digital. Other sectors are different. What we're going to go through today is the context of those reforms, the outcome of the rapid review and what that is. We're then going to go through a funding list and what that means and what that looks like. Okay, then we're going to go through some things about planning your curriculum as a result of what's happened. And then we're going to go through resources and support for AAQs, level 2s, and next steps. And I will apologize way in advance for this. I will not have every answer for every question you have to ask because we don't have them yet. In a couple of very specific things, we are still waiting for some of this information, and I'll try and signpost that as we go through. Okay, I apologize in advance, but we're still waiting for some of the information ourselves. Okay, right. So, but I'll try and be as informative as possible. So the context. Now, as we know, we were going through a reform timeline, and this reform took several stages where there was a new policy announced in 2021, criteria to develop new qualifications came in 2022, 2023 started the work on AAQs and other qualifications. These were submitted in 2024 and cycle 2 started. The general election happened in 2024 and the pause and review happened post that election to look at the funding and to look at the options on the table. So we had these cycle 1 qualifications, which digital was part of, which we submitted in 2023, which included the 360 GLH AAQs in IT and computing, and the 2024 were other subjects that was paused, okay? But those subjects in 2023 will go ahead. And I'll explain a little bit, as much as I can, about what that means. Okay, just bear with me. So, the rapid review took place after the general election, and they wanted to look at the qualifications and see what qualifications overlap with the T level. When the rapid review looked at those qualifications, they looked at all the qualifications that were in cycle 1, okay? And that included the ones that were funded and not funded, and they came up with some solutions for teaching. Now, as we know, before that happened, okay, the BTECs that you currently teach were all due to finish their teaching for registrations in July of this year, okay? And spoilers, the majority of those qualifications were extended as a result, but they were only extended a year. And we'll go through a little bit about what that means to everyone in a second, okay? So the outcomes, and I kind of said this already, okay? The AAQs and technical qualifications in cycle 1 will continue to be first teach September 2025. Now, that means that the AAQ 360 GLH in IT and the AAQ 360 GLH in computing, plus the technical qualification in cybersecurity for the 19+ learners will be taught from 2025, okay? This September. But all the RQF nationals that overlap with that will remain defunded. In other words, if you're teaching a 360 GLH qualification from September, the AAQ, the larger sizes have been extended, and we'll go through what that looks like for our sector on the next slide. Okay, here's the key bit. The rules of combination for a study program were removed, so you can now choose a study program that is right for your learners, and I'll go on to that on subsequent slides. Every sector, as I've already said, is separate. So this is for digital only, and other sectors will have different rules. So, any questions on this in the chat? Yeah. But what this means is that the AAQs go forward, the 360s are being removed, the larger sizes largely will go ahead, but you don't have to stick with one AAQ in your program of study. Okay, headlines. Let's go on to what this actually looks like on the next slide. So on the next slide, we have a funding list for digital. And this funding list, again, it has, as you can see, the AAQs, which are in bold, coming in from 2025 First Teach, okay? And those are the AAQs in IT and computing. I will again, and I'm pains to say some of this because some of it, you know, some of it hasn't changed, and some of you may be only hearing this first time. Those AAQs are 360 size only at the moment. We do have 180 sizes, and I'll come back to that in a little while. But at the moment, that's all that's on the books for 2025-26. And then for the other qualifications, yeah, those qualifications will continue in the larger sizes. And then you'll see on here what larger sizes means. It's not quite what it means, yeah, for the First Teach 25-26 for one additional year. And when they say larger sizes, for digital, and again, I'm at pains of saying this, digital, they're talking about the 720 and the 1080 GLH qualifications only. They're not talking about the 540s. So you can start learners on the 1080 extended diploma for next September, for this September, and the 720 national diploma in IT and computing. You can continue as you are now for one more year. There's one at the bottom, which is the competence for IT telecoms professionals, which goes on regardless, but for the rest of them, they are not funded. Okay, so this is it is quite a complex landscape you've got in front of you, and if you don't, if you're struggling to understand what the reasoning or anything behind it, I don't have that, but that's what the rules are. Okay, this, as we'll look at on subsequent slides, gives you some challenges with regards to your learners for the next 2 years, and I'll go on to what that means in a second. Okay, so any questions, put it in the chat, and I'll try and answer as I go through. My colleague Tim Brady is here in the background, and he can probably answer in the chat as well. So I hope that makes the funding point clear. And again, at pains to say, England only, post-16 only. Okay, right, let's move on. So when it comes to curriculum planning, it's important you consider all of this because of top-ups or drop-downs. So learners registered in 24, 25, and 180 GLH program intended to top up to 360 isn't funded in 2025-26. So you're going to have to do your top-ups fairly quickly. In other words, in this academic year, you can't leave it till September. And the cut-off for funding is the 31st of July from memory. So therefore, you probably need to do it before you go away from the summer. In 25-26, centres who traditionally register on 360 GLH and top up year 2, you've got to think about that because you can't necessarily, you can't top up. You can't go from a 360 AAQ up to a 720 old BTEC. So you've got to think about how that means, okay? And I'll try and answer some of the questions in the chat in a second. Let me get through the slides. So if you have a program which has that top up or drop down, you're going to have to make those decisions fairly quickly, and you're probably going to have to stay where you are, okay? here we go. But you can choose your study program. And I'm going to put caveats around this for you, okay? There are no rules. So you could have 3 AAQs in your study program. I am not suggesting that's a good idea, and I'll come on to why in a second. You could have an AAQ in computing, an A-level maths, an AAQ in engineering. That would be a suitable program of study. You could have an AAQ in IT, a 540 diploma in creative music practice, or an A-level in art. Or you could have an AAQ in computing, extended certificate business, or an extended certificate in esports, or any manner of qualifications. It is now up to you. So if you take one thing from this, those rules about those AAQs and only being able to have one AAQ have gone, okay? But what we recommend is exploring the progression pathway your students commonly take. Speak to the HE partners that they commonly go to. Because if those HE partners will only accept one AAQ as part of that program study, realistically, you should think nothing has changed. Do not set your learners up to fail. If your HE destinations of choice or whatever destinations of choice have a program which has a slightly different makeup, have it designed that way. I think you've really got to think about your learners and their outcomes here. Okay, I'm going to stop and answer some questions in the chat because it's a good point to do so. And hopefully we'll get them answered. But I know that in the background, Tim is doing a very good job. Yeah, I think, Ian, I've answered your question, so I don't need to answer that. We're doing extended cert now and topping up to diploma from September. Does that mean we need to register before July? Absolutely, 100%. Get them registered before they go for summer holidays. Hope that's been clear. Right. Okay, there was an original list with AAQ and games. Has that been scrapped? Okay, I'll come on to that in a minute. Okay, because that's a very good question, and I will go on to that in a second. Can you choose only one AAQ? No, you can choose as many AAQs you want, but you've got to make it right for your learners. I think I've covered that one. Extended certificate can be taught 25 to 27. Absolutely right, Emma. You've got that 100% right. I was told I could plan for a study program 2 AQs or AQ computer. Is that the right advice? If it's right for your learners, it's right for your learners. Think about your learners. If the universities of choice or wherever they're going to go will not accept 2 AAQs, 2 vocational qualifications, it's not right for your learners. Look at your progression pathways. I can teach BTEC essentially September 25. Yes, you can. We're happy about that. And what is the approval process for AAQs? It's automatic. Okay. Right. I think we've answered all the questions. I think we've probably got there. Okay. There's one question I didn't answer, and I'll come on to it in a second. Okay. So here we go. There is some guidance on transferring learners. You will get these slides and you will see what it is. Okay. The extended certificate will be funded 2025-27. The old extended certificate will not be funded 25-27. Okay, let's be clear. So that has been removed. We are working on a 180 version of this. I'll come back to that in a minute because it's one of these are some of the questions where I cannot answer yet because we don't quite know. Okay. So you'll see on the screen, I'm not going to repeat it. It's got all the information about top ups and top downs and transferring a learner and all the rest of it. Okay. Nothing has changed here. I'm not going to read this out verbatim. You'll get this slide with the information on. I hope that helps, okay? But what I would say is, if you are a centre that does your top-ups in September or moves people up and down for in year 2, you need to be doing that as your exit point for this academic year. That is my strong advice to you, because you will not be able to do it after July, okay? I hope this helps. Right, before I go into qualification structure comparison, we're not going to go into lots of detail about the AAQs because there's so many questions that come up, okay? I'm going to just be clear about the one bit of the announcement which we are not clear about, which will answer some of the questions that are probably going on, and also about when we will know and what that will look like, and I'll probably say I don't know for some of that. As part of the announcement, there was also a part where AOs will be allowed to submit new qualifications in spring 2025. We do not know much about that submission of qualifications and when they start, what they look like, what size they are, but we do know digital is within that. Our plan has always been to submit a 180 in computing and IT in the next window. Nothing has changed. We will be looking to do that. And we will also be looking to submit technicals for 19+ learners. Over and above that, we will look at what the rules are when they come out. And I believe there'll be a meeting next week where we can look at that and we can get the information from the DFE. We do not have it yet. And then we will look at what we can provide. I cannot, at this point, answer any questions because I just don't know about the size or shape of what those qualifications will be that need to be submitted in spring 2025. Okay? So I hope that helps a little bit with where we are. With regards to, and it's really useful to mention this bit because I've seen the question in the chat about the AAQ in computer games. With regards to other subjects, and computer games sits within those other subjects, everything has been paused that wasn't in cycle 1. So media, computer games, and all of those subjects were in that area. And they will be paused until the curriculum review comes out later this year. And at that point of the curriculum review coming out later this year, decisions will be made about what can be submitted for each sector. Okay. So if you currently, and I know some of you probably are, teaching qualifications in games or media or things like that that are in cycle 2 onwards, those qualifications have had their funding extended till 2027, and that means that you can teach with confidence for 2 extra years. For digital, it's 1 extra year at the moment. Okay. I hope that helped. So I've got a couple of questions, Jack. Can you just do the level 3 AAQ in IT? Yes, you can. It's a 360, so it's worth 1 A level. You cannot top up until a certificate's been awarded. If certificates do, the guidance is on there. So that means a transfer. Yes, you're right. When I'm using the word top up, it's more a transfer. And Tim is probably wrapping my knuckles behind the scenes because I'm using those terms. There we go. Apologies. Right. So if you've not seen it before, I'll quickly go through what's going to be looking like the 360 and the 180 versions of these. The 360 have been approved for first teach 2025, the 180 isn't. Okay, so we have 2 qualifications. One is the IT qualification. On the right is a new academic qualification, the alternative academic qualification as they're called, but it's still a BTEC, with 2 external units, the information technology systems and cybersecurity and digital and incident management. These are exams with 2 units alongside that in website development and relational database development. The 180 version of this will be submitted as soon as we get a window, and that will have the information technology systems as the core unit and website development as the internal additional unit. So that will be for what replaces what's on the left. Obviously, the larger sizes have more units, but I've just used the extended certificate on here as a point of comparison. Okay. What we've tried to do with these qualifications, and if you've heard me say this before, apologies, but we've tried to keep the units as similar as possible. Everything is an exam. If it's an external assessment, there are no large project-based assessments. Okay, let's move on. The computing follows the same kind of thing. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. That last slide, Unit 2, should have said external.
Okay, apologies. It should have been external. My fault. What's that? Yeah, on the old version, it's external. Correct.
Yeah.
Well done, Tim. I knew there was something.
There'll be another one here as well, won't there?
Yeah, fundamental computer systems. Well pointed out. Yeah. Okay. Ian, I'm going to answer your question in a second when I get through this slide. Okay. So here we've got the AAQ in computing with programming fundamentals, computer network security and encryption, HCI and practical programming, and the 180 version of that will have programming fundamentals and a choice between HCI and practical programming. Again, we're trying to keep the units the same. Again, unit 2 is incorrectly put as an internal where it's an external. Okay. Ian, in answer to your question, we do not know when the window is going to open. We have been told spring, or more helpfully than that, a civil servant spring. I don't know what the difference is. So we will be advised next week, hopefully. I understand other providers, other AOs have a 180 available. We will have a 180 available. There's no doubt about it. And so if that's the big decision point, we will have a 180 available when that opens up. Okay. But we are looking wider than just a 180 here and looking at what else can happen. As soon as we know, we'll start talking to people and make them aware of the different of what we will be submitting. But again, as I've said right at the beginning, there is a part of this we don't know, and that's the mission part we just don't know. Okay, so the key similarities and differences between what we've got now. Some of you have heard this before. The AAQs have no options within them, but they're very similar units. We have the same pass merit distinction. We have the same standards verification process. We have something slightly different within the internal units, where we have changed the way that you're either using AAB or your own assignment briefs to using a Pearson set assignment brief. So you get given the brief, which changes year on year. And what we will say is we try to keep the number of assessment points down so that actually you can focus on teaching and learning. The transition guides from the existing BTECs to the AAQs are already on our website. You'll find a link when you get there. Okay. Right. And Tim, if I've missed anything out, gone too fast, or just glossed over anything, just stop me, okay?
You're doing a great job.
That's the first time you've ever said that, Tim. Thank you. Okay, let's go through results. So our training offer, and some of this is already live for you to sign up to. We have Getting Ready to Teach, Getting Ready for Internal Assessment. We have some bite-sized videos coming out. Those will come out in spring term. In fact, some of those are already available for you to sign up to, particularly the live and on-demand training. The summer term, Getting Ready to Teach, transitioning workshops, all those kind of things will be coming out as we go through it. There is a link to the training from Pearson. You'll be able to sign up. You will get access to everything you get access to right now, including Exam Wizard, Results Plus, subject advisors. Tim is on the call. If you don't know Tim, he is our subject advisor. And if you need to email him, it's teachingict@pearson.com, which is on the back end of the slides. You'll get access to scripts, learning support, and delivering BTEC. Okay, and I'll go back to questions in a second. There is a comprehensive package of paid resources alongside that. Our samples for those paid resources, which are going to in a slight moment, will start to become available early next month, and then the publication date is in May. So those are those textbooks we're talking about. So what you'll get for every single qualification and for every single unit is a student book, an ebook, and a teacher pack as part of those. And you can sign up to as much or as little as that as you want. Planning and delivery guides will be available in March, and we will have those published paid for resources available in May, the full materials with samples in February. I'm trying to be as well. I'm hopeful they'll get out before then, but let's just see. Yeah. Transition guides are already available on our website. There's links on the previous slide. Transferable skills and preparing learners for their future are already available guides, which are available on the website. And as you will see, for each of the AAQs, there are ways to plan and teach sessions, and there are 3 for each of the AAQs already available for you to sign up to. The first of them start in just a few weeks, on the 7th or 14th of March. February, depending on which one you are. Then we've got some in March, and then we've got some in May, not the 35th month, as that one says, but it's in May. Okay, so that ends level 3. I'm going to stop at this point to answer questions in the chat, and just if you've got questions, please put them in. Okay, Given the exams fall at the start and end of the year, is this relative weight of the modules next year 100? Yeah, yes, it is. I think it's going to be difficult to plan a 2-year delivery for this. Yeah, okay, so there's 120, 60. We will work with you on that, and we've got those sessions on getting ready to plan your qualification where we'll go through that with you. Okay, we felt that kind of makeup of the 120 and the 60s works. Feedback is useful for any subsequent submission we make. We're considering looking at creative media diploma 2A version digital games development. I'm assuming that'd be a valid option too. So yes, it would be the 2A AQ version of that, but obviously if that is the AAQ, that is currently on hold. The existing creative digital media diploma is working until 2027. I hope that makes sense. When will the first opportunity for students to sit each of the external exams? There will be external exams available in 2026. I realise it's not something you change, but if AAQs are the way things are going, they are very descriptive. With optional units, we can tailor. I completely understand what you're saying, Catherine. It will be something we'll look at for any submission we make in this spring window. I hope that answers that question. Samantha, how long will these qualifications be able to teach for? Is this just a stopgap for a couple of years, or is it here for longer? My understanding is the AAQs will be here for longer, but we await the outcomes of the curriculum review, and I cannot crystal ball that, unfortunately, if that makes sense. Okay, I hope I've answered all those questions. Tim, tell me if I haven't. Okay, as some of you are aware, also underneath this, for any of you who teach level 2 BTEC, there was a level 2 reform going on whilst all of this was going on, and we were in the busy process of writing new level 2 qualifications. I will now go through where we are with that. So, as it stood, digital was in cycle 2 for first teach September 2026. All of those cycle 2 level 2 reforms have been paused, and they will be paused until the outcome of the curriculum review. What this means is that the current digital qualifications, and again, I'm at pains to say this because I'll get asked, these are post-16 only. Yeah, there's more going on later about level 3, so just bear with it. But I'm pains to say this is post-16 only. The digital qualifications will then be extended to 2027. Okay, so our current BTEC first will be extended to 2027, as well as the technicals. I know at least one of you on the call, I've seen your name, and I'm in the middle of responding to your email. 2027 is the answer to the question about the digital technicals. So what we've got is our post-16 offer, and I have put in the Tech Award in Digital Information Technology just to complete this for 14-16. And the reason I put it in is just that I am mentioning it, and I'm just saying it's not part of this. It's only there because it's part of our offering. It is unaffected by anything that's going on. BTEC First Information Technology, Technical Diploma in Digital Technology, and Technical Certificate in IT Support have all been put forward till 2027. Okay, right. So the useful links on this sheet, on this deck, when you get it, you'll have a link to our level 3 funding guide. Okay, and also our level 3 reforms page. Okay, the outcome of the qualifications review will also be on there from the DFE links. Qualifications have had their funding extended. Okay, and I'll be really clear. Okay, and I'm going to say this, and I get emails and questions about this all the time. Okay, people go away from these meetings and they then go and look at the funding website, the LARS, and they'll turn around and say, but nothing's updated, so this isn't happening. The LARS gets updated once a year in April, and it will be updated with the output of the quick review. Yeah, it won't be updated to that point. This is happening, okay? But the LARS will not be updated. Okay, we have an FAQs from the DFE and qualification reform. Okay. So your next steps. So DFE have paused cycle 2 submission for level 2 and 3. The submission of these qualifications happen later in 2025. DFE will open that new cycle 2 for additional titles in health and HSC, health and social care, applied science, construction, and more importantly, digital. Now, all other sectors and qualifications that need to be retained long-term will be reformed and informed by the curriculum and assessment review, and we expect to know more later this year, autumn. Okay, so anything else fits into this bucket here.